Hey everyone, I'm Benj. This is What Could Be Bad. I'm excited to be here for another episode with you. Thanks for tuning in. We're in Venice Beach, California. I am at Vatom House with Eric Pulier.
Hi.
Hey, this is your spot. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you.
Awesome, man. And we've got your pup too, Bailey.
Bailey.
Will be walking around and enjoying the conversation with us.
Yeah.
So I'm new to Vatom House. What is this place?
It's a place that we like to think of as inspirational, a place to bring people together physically, biologically, and to connect and invent, have fun, have campfires, music, and create new ventures and ideas.
I love that. There's so much in that we could just focus the entire episode on. I think there's a lost bit in our world about being in person.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much that's digital, and we can't avoid that.
That's right.
How do you encourage the community here to really connect in person?
Well, the first thing we really do is to recognize that whatever elevates us, whatever feels right, is likely to be right, right? We don't do a lot of analysis. We don't try to do a checkbox on this and that. It's kind of like, is this something that's super cool? Is this dance troupe, you know, somebody that we're in awe of, or is this group that we can hang out by the fire with somebody that will add to the debate around something we're building or that we can learn from?
Yeah.
And so we run into people and they run into us and they come and, I guess, co-elevate.
And is that solely from Los Angeles where we are, or is it just you're finding people globally? I know your businesses are all over the place.
Everybody, yeah. And sometimes it's business. I mean, and more often than not, it's a way to bring people together that might become business that we didn't intend to be business, or people that we're working with together that are collaborating on something. We've had hackathons, we've had comedy nights, we've had people doing weddings.
Yeah,
you know, we don't rent it out, but we definitely bring people together that are in our community to try to create something memorable.
I love that. What's the most memorable one for you so far? Because I know this is not that old.
Yeah, I think the most memorable ones for me are the ones that take advantage of the expansiveness of the property and the different personalities of the different areas.
Yeah.
What I like is when I'm wandering about and maybe talking to some people up here in what we call the Explorers Lounge.
Okay.
And it's a world in and of itself with a lot of quirkiness, one of the world's largest moose up there. You can
I thought I saw that.
Different ways that my brother has figured out to break up stems of music that play through different instruments. It's kind of inspiring, a bar up there. Other places we might have food happening in another area and different people maybe dancing here with a DJ or somebody else giving an actual fireside chat or bringing people together around a topic. And you might find yourself in environments like that, spending time and losing yourself somewhere. Yeah. And then stumbling into something else and leave feeling inspired in a way that you didn't expect.
I love that. I think the world needs more places like that. You know, it's becoming very apparent to me that people are getting more and more used to connecting digitally. And, you know, this show focuses on resilience, mental health, culture. And I see a shift, you know, since when I was growing up, you know, remembering back, like, you know, I'd get a half hour of like the one channel, you know, like that my parents would let me watch until I was about 14 or something like that. But now, you know, kid will borrow the iPhone and get on his parents' Instagram and scroll for 2 hours or something like that.
Or 2 weeks or 2 years.
Yeah. What's your thought on how the different worlds collide and what the benefit is of this kind of a place?
I think the benefit is fundamental to who we are as humans and also how we find purpose. You can trick yourself or be tricked into thinking you're being nourished by friends online or doom scrolling that entertains you in these bite-sized increments, but you wake up feeling disconnected and depressed very often.
Yeah.
And that kind of 0-calorie diet of food for the soul results in you, in a lot of people, really heading in a direction that has, I think in some ways, created an epidemic of loneliness.
Yes. It's actually like been named a loneliness epidemic by Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General. We're living in that time, which is scary that, there's nothing I feel like being done besides like people taking it upon themselves to create spaces. There's no like government agency trying to combat loneliness, and there's no healthcare system that's really in place to address people's well-being in the mind. And that's one of the things I hope to address. But what responses do you get from the people that are really engaging in this space after they've taken it in?
Well, I think what we find is the results happen later. It may feel like an interesting conversation or a nice connection.
Yeah.
But later what you find is that your life has changed. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's not. Your life doesn't change normally by stumbling on an interesting video, but it quite often changes by stumbling on an interesting person. And it's not just about being inspired, it's also about the relationship. And relationships are built very differently when you're with somebody physically than when you're connecting online or learning about someone online. Information is very different than communication. And online communication is very different than in person. So what you have in environments like this is a lot of times people might even be not wanting to leave their house, right? You get comfortable. And you're like, it's not worth it. I'll just...
It's stressful to like go out.
Stressful, your social chops might not be exercised recently or coming back from COVID yet. But what happens ultimately is that you never regret that you came out and ran into some folks and learned something about somebody, how they got to what they're doing, and why they're doing it. Everyone has pain in common, aspirations in common, and a need for creativity is really the antidote for almost everything.
Absolutely agree with that.
She's loving my shoes.
You mentioned before the word purpose. And I think that is one of the most like game-changing things to have in life. If you have been in a moment where you don't have purpose, you understand how it's basically like this amorphous field of space out there. Like you don't have the direction of this is where I should go to feel like I belong on this planet or have a direction. Was there a point in life where you were in that space where you didn't feel like you had the right purpose and you had to recenter or refocus into a new one?
Yes, more than once.
Okay. You want to share about any of those?
Sure. I never thought about such things in my life. Many people who I admire have had difficult upbringings and have overcome a lot of adversity as they got into adulthood and flourished, not in spite of, but very often because of the character that built. I had the reverse. I have to admit, I did not have it too hard growing up.
Okay.
A great family.
God bless.
I mean, maybe I didn't always prevail in Dungeons and Dragons, but I did pretty
First
well.
world problems. Yeah.
And I studied interesting things. My dad was a wonderful role model and polymath, interested in so many different areas, and got to grow up with a wonderful brother and mother and cousins and what have you, great friends. Therefore, I maybe wasn't as prepared for how the world worked when you get into some aspects of how things can come down. And I was taken by surprise by some things that reoriented me.
Okay.
Maybe almost to the point of bringing me to the precipice of not making it.
When you say it,
making it meaning being able to continue.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. I've been there too, so I was just curious about how that.
And in those times, which have been several times along this journey, I found myself in a position where I did reorient, and it's where I did my probably most important growing. And I wouldn't wish it on somebody. But I am also grateful for where it's brought me.
I see. So after you went through that kind of like joining a community in a way. Like you were able to see the benefits of it in time. It kind of became more illuminated.
It became illuminated of what feeds the soul, what inspires you when you don't even want to be inspired.
Yeah, yeah.
Where can you find the strength to go after purpose if it doesn't even feel like a worthy objective? And you find it in connecting to others and in giving.
Yeah.
Right? That's really what the essence of purpose is.
Yes.
Is that honor of finding people who can and are want to receive.
Yeah.
And that gives you a lot, when you can find that.
I agree with that. I've been like feeling a resurgence of that lately, and I appreciate that. I'm not the only one, and I think that those turning points really are key to sort of like. There's an author, David Brooks. He wrote a book called The Second Mountain, and The Second Mountain was really helpful for me. You have the first mountain in life you climb, and it's almost like an unintentional journey that you do something. It's a mountain. It's a big thing to get over, and then something happens, and you realize that that's not the only mountain you need to climb, or that you should climb, and that there's future challenges that you didn't even see coming. And that first mountain somehow prepares you for that next one, but it's a reawakening.
I love that. I think I'm on the third mountain at this time.
Okay, nice. Well, I know how many projects and businesses you're working on, and I don't know that all of the people who might be watching understand how much you're involved in. Can you share how it is as an entrepreneur to be involved in different types of businesses, and like maybe it's compartmentalizing your time as much as the space you have in mind, the bandwidth that you have to focus on each one? How do you manage the different things as well as keep yourself healthy throughout that? Because it appears to me you're like a very calm, healthy guy who's like involved in a lot of exciting big things that affect like a lot more than just one industry.
I am privileged to be working across industries and with incredible people that are leading their industries and having some role, hopefully, in contributing. You use the word compartmentalization, which I think is interesting. I have mastered that over time. That's been maybe my superpower up until now, where I'm trying to no longer do that.
Interesting.
Yes.
How come?
Well, the key to my success was doing it, but it also had certain consequences. So I'll explain.
Please.
So I never thought about such things in the early days. I was young, had lots of energy, was working on CD-ROMs, if you remember.
Yeah,
kiosks.
totally. Yeah, I've got some questions about all of that too. We'll get there, but please tell me anything about
it.
The
pre-web days of AOL and CompuServe and all of this. And as I started to get excited about that kind of thing, I remember my brother called me one day. He was studying in graduate school at BU. I was out here. And he said, you got to see this thing that this guy, Mark Andreessen, just did at the University of Illinois. Mm-hmm. He basically has built an application that is a hypertext layer on the internet.
Yeah.
It's the first browser called Mosaic. When I saw that, I was just, whoosh, let's pivot. This is going to be highly significant across everything. And I just loved throwing myself into things. What came out here to be a writer and direct music videos and to be creative in those ways. Amazing, but I always had a hankering for hacking and programming, not as well as most, but good enough to know what I was doing and enjoy it.
Okay.
And combining those things was at the perfect moment when the whole world was about to change as the internet became prevalent and became mainstream. That was early. It was like from 94 to 95.
Okay.
And then 96, I started a company called Digital Evolution, which became the first kind of incubator, if you will, in the Southern California area. And we started building that up. Paul Allen was our first investor, who was co-founder of Microsoft at the time.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of really interesting people involved. And that's when I started to really realize that this thing could have a massive global impact. And I just threw myself into it. And I was also having kids at the same time. And the first kind of recognition of how I needed to compartmentalize was not a learning that I had. It was through crisis. So I was kind of the poster child of the tech crash, or one of the poster children.
Tell me more about that, because that's a big deal.
Sure. So I founded a company that ended up going public. I don't know how old I was, 30, 31. I was married, I was having some kids. I was doing a lot for a young guy.
I mean, look, I'm a new dad relatively. I have a 7-year-old and a 6-month-old. Okay. So I mean, how many kiddos?
4.
I mean,
Fantastic,
that's
beautiful kids. Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm very happy for you in that. I know how much work children take. Okay, and I had half as many as you, and all that. I mean, that's got to be a lot to manage the two worlds.
It was a lot, but the kind of journey that I took from that period was not planned or expected. But at the same time that the tech crash hit, I was ill prepared. I didn't even know what an IPO was until we did one, and we ended up in a massive crash and burn where a company that we acquired in the stock market crash ended up being worth more than us in their debt, took us over.
Oh, wow.
And I was one of the top 20 money losers in the United States, according to the Wall Street Journal. Not how I wanted to get in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I said, okay, it's just money, but it was a lot. And it was more than I had.
Okay.
So I came out with like $10,000, made hundreds of millions, and then negative, right?
Wow.
And it was around that period where my wife went a different direction.
Okay.
For reasons of her own, and we ended up in a really very emotionally devastating time.
Yeah.
Where I had a 1, 3, 5, and 7-year-old, and massive amounts of bills showing up every day, no source of income. And of course, the ego bruise of, was that a flash in the pan? Was that even something that was luck? Or how could I even do it again? I didn't think I was employable. I just always made stuff.
Yeah.
So
can relate. Yeah.
It was crazy, right? So 3 kids not potty trained, running around. When this one's sick, this one needs homework, this one is going back and forth, and then trying to figure out how to pay for everybody.
Right.
So I was jumping in the ocean here in Santa Monica, where it was so dark at like 4 a.m, you couldn't see this far below the surface, and swimming. I wouldn't do that today, but somehow it cleared my mind.
Yeah, that's I mean, amazing to hear. I feel that people that swim in the ocean are very brave in general, and I mean, maybe there's like what you're kind of hinting at is it maybe wasn't the most intelligent thing, because that's maybe when the sharks are swimming and stuff. I always see people where I live in, in Encinitas, which is south of here by a little bit, but there's like the same group of people who always go out and they swim in a long line, and they're like 10 meters apart or something like that. And I just think it's fascinating. Like I grew up swimming in a pool. I was on, rec club and all that, like going to swim meets every weekend. I loved it. But I always feel like there's an element of danger in the ocean that you don't, like you're saying, you can't quite see. That's actually a big analogy of this whole podcast is what could be bad is like what you're not seeing that's right there behind the lens or behind the person.
And the need to go forward anyway.
Yes.
It helped me a lot to put fear aside and to focus on the moment and focus on the compartment that the moment's in.
Yes.
So when it was time to be there and play, I couldn't show up crying, show up happy. When it was time to go and take care of someone who had to go to the doctor or to a potential investor who can smell fear or can smell anything less than full-on belief in oneself. Or when it's time to cry. Whatever it is, you have to show up fully in that, but not let the rest come in, because you have to fully embody that moment in that part of your personality, right? And to be present for it. And I'll tell you why I don't want to do that anymore, but mastering that allowed me to, I think, really be present as a father and present as an entrepreneur, even though Rome was burning over here.
Yeah.
But I had to say to myself, that can wait while I'm doing this.
Yes.
And now this can wait while I'm doing that. And that allowed me to do the many things that I needed to do to get through that period. So that was the first mountain, if you will.
Yeah, sure. I understand.
Where then I worked for the next 10 years to try to build back. And started quite a few companies in that period.
Yeah.
Even as I feel like the kids were able to have mostly some solidity, some feeling of calm.
Yeah. Well, that's where I was going with it, is how was this affecting the children, and how did you take that on as a parent? And I know I can hear it that you're working to build to support. Managing emotions for other people is not an easy feat, right? Kids especially, because their prefrontal lobe isn't developed, and it's like, they're not really like aware of how to express what they're feeling, but they're feeling it, and you can see it in them. Do you think that maybe that was more challenging, or was it helpful to like know that you had to put this other stuff aside and just be there with them?
I don't know if it was helpful, but it was necessary.
Okay.
And in it being necessary, I could do the day and still look back on several days and say, I had a fantastic time. Like, I really did enjoy myself, even though the bill collectors are coming down
knocking
my
on the
throat,
door. Yeah.
And this conflict is happening with certain people in my life that I had to manage. I could still show up, and people know if you can smell fear, you can smell that you're not really having fun, or you can smell that you're not really present. I feel like I was quite often able to do that, not always. And I wouldn't say the kids were unaffected, but I would say that they've come out to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that
I bet
they
a
were
couple
affected.
of them earlier today. They seem great.
Yeah, I'm sure they were affected. I mean, how could you not be? But we got through it together, all of us. And we also really enjoyed. We had, great grandparents, family, cousins. There was so much love that we were able to thrive in the end.
Yeah.
And then I hit my next
mountain or
valley.
Catastrophe.
Well, mountain and valley.
Yeah. Okay.
So in 2014, I finally made it back.
Okay.
10 years of scraping my way back through that compartmentalization.
And you made it through a huge recession.
And made it through the major crash of the markets.
Yeah.
It was another crash.
Another crash,
which was very serious. And everyone stopped investing and all of those things. But the hardest thing was figuring out how to pay for things while building equity value.
Okay.
Right? Because you've got to get through the day and pay for this one and private school and this doctor and this camp or this
serious costs,
orthodontist, whatever it is, and it's like another. Didn't I pay you yesterday?
Right. The bills keep coming.
But got to the point where in 2014, I sold 3 companies that I had started in that period. I've started 16 now over time.
That's a lot of companies.
It's a lot of companies. It's a lot of lessons learned in what to do and not to. But at that time, we got it to a certain level, and I was like, okay, that's what I was going for. Maybe there's a little, I wanted to get back to the impact work and the foundation that I wanted to build, and I started to do that when I got into another scrape.
What was the scrape?
It was awful. So in 2000, maybe the end of 2014, early 2015.
Okay.
I was driving up the coast with my girlfriend at the time, and I got a call from a guy who was the CIO of a bank at the time that we were doing business with, and he said, "Hey, I heard that so and so got fired," and I said, "Oh, that's too bad. I'll call him." I said, "The project that I have is working with them and 5 or 6 of their colleagues." He said, "Yeah, well, they didn't have the right permissions." I was like, "Okay." Long story short, massive controversy came of a nonprofit that I had started, which had ended up employing certain people, or friends of mine, or as contractors, and I certainly had recommended them. And because they were customers in the past, and they didn't have the right permissions, they got into an awful bind. They're working for a bank. The company, one of the companies that acquired one of mine, was a quasi-governmental organization.
Okay.
Long story short, we got into a massive knockdown, drag out fight over it. I wanted to handle it a certain way. They wanted to handle it another way.
Okay.
Given that they were doing a $26 billion merger or something with HP. And I ended up getting thrown out of Mount Olympus in the fight of my life, where they brought in the government, and I had to fight not only them, but the DOJ, the SEC, and every other, couple other 3-letter organizations that decided once you're in the Death Star, they want their pound of flesh.
Yeah. They don't want to like bring a case and not close it.
It's reputation, it's money, and at the beginning, it's even like they think that there's some legitimacy. They wouldn't go after it.
They're not starting that.
Usually.
Yeah.
In my case, I decided that I would rather die than agree to something that I didn't believe was true.
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
And it was a fight to the death, where I did actually think I might die. Because
it was such a hard fight to get through?
Yeah.
Because of the amount of time.
Well, they wanted
and
to put
money
me in
and
jail for 30 years. They were threatening myself, my family, everyone that I knew. It was a daily battle where I thought my insides were exposed to salt water all day.
Yeah.
And again, the next mountain where I lost my assets, had to fight and reset myself.
They took all of that away?
They froze it.
They froze it.
I couldn't get an Uber. Yet I had to pay for the kids.
Yeah.
So it was a very difficult time, as to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least, for sure.
And I brought out my compartmentalization concept again. I said, okay, I got to start a new company, and I got to earn a living. I got to show up for the kids. I got to go fight these guys, and bring out some kind of consensus on what this should be.
Yeah.
Luckily, it did end up where I would want it to.
Okay, so like they put the case to the side and let it go?
It worked out very nicely.
Okay.
It was very, very touch and go. And at the end, I remember it could have gone either way. Because they say, look, instead of this, you can take that. That's the way things end.
Offering like plea deals.
Yeah, you just take something. And I was like, no. Like, this was the second time I realized I was worth more dead than alive to my family. Not a great feeling.
No.
But sometimes that's the truth, financially anyway, maybe not in other ways.
I think your kids would argue against that.
I agree.
Yeah.
But there's an awful feeling, right, in terms of finding purpose. So going back to your question of where do you get purpose?
Good full circle thought, yeah.
So I found purpose in overcoming those type of thoughts and saying, no, my purpose here is to find my joy and to connect to others and to bring something into the world that matters.
Beautiful.
And that could have a lasting impact beyond me. And so I decided that I would do nothing less than wake up every morning with that certainty. And in the end, we were trying to prove our case, and we were crunching through millions of emails. Google would shut us off every 24 hours, thinking it was a denial of service attack from North Korea.
Oh,
and we'd have to start again.
Yeah.
And one day, just at the end, when they were going to, make final decisions on really, are they proceeding to basically go to trial or sentence, I found what we needed, or my brother did actually, because he's
like
he's
an
a
old
smarter
email
half.
or something.
In an algorithm of showing how things were working.
Okay.
It ended up being something that I thought definitively, if there was justice, would end up being in our favor. So I rushed downtown to show what it was.
Yeah.
They were like, this doesn't sound right, but then they kept looking at it and saying, well, I think this could be it.
Yeah.
And they went in. We had to wait.
Yeah.
I remember driving downtown and saying, okay, is this going to be the end of me, or is this going to resolve in my favor? And I went into the parking garage as the answer was texted to me. No bars. A, B, C, nothing. I come up, escalator 1, escalator 2. Bars start coming up. I'm coming up the escalator. I see my brother at the top, and it says, dropped all charges in the interest of justice. And I was like, okay.
Vindication. Wow.
Yeah, so that was really a powerful
Wow.
moment.
Eric, that's incredible.
But it was the next mountain to say, okay,
Sure.
gratitude, here for a purpose, but that purpose isn't so grandiose of, yeah, sure, we want to affect as many lives as we can, but the purpose is very much about being joyful,
Yeah.
connecting to others, and showing up,
Yeah.
but not, and this is back to our earlier point,
Yes.
not in a compartmentalized way.
Yeah.
That's how I got through, but it's not how I want to live.
Yeah, opening up.
I actually want to fuse all the different parts of my personality. The part that takes care of the crisis, the part that deals with creativity, or that deals with a challenge, or is sad or joyful. And I just want to show up as all of those things.
Authentically
not having
who
to
you are. Yeah.
say, oh, I'm going to get to the Rome burning over here.
Uh-huh.
And just be fully integrated instead of compartmentalized. And that's what I've been working on recently to find my purpose.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's amazing and quite a journey to get to a realization. I have a friend in San Diego, a guy named Jeff Berkeley, a really talented musician, and he says, I think he's quoting someone else, but I'm quoting Jeff. Jeff says that like we spend our whole lives finding who we are, figuring out who we're supposed to be. So you go through all these things to actually be able to like submit to that person and be that person, that authentic self. And I think that's a huge thing for the next generation to grapple with, because we're being inundated with all kinds of messages about who you should be, you know, and people need to know like that they can be different than all these highlight reels they may see or whatever, like, you know, the politicians are acting like. That's not the role models I think we need. I think we need people who authentically show up and accept that we're human beings, especially in a world where there's all these other, you know, factors now, which is some of the stuff I want to talk to you about. To switch gears, you know, you've been involved in so many things in the digital world. You know, as a musician, I did not understand NFTs for a long time, and I know you had a big hand in creating I guess you like formed the idea and then brought it into commerce. Can you share about that?
Sure. Like when I started to go on to that, I guess the third mountain climb,
Yeah.
and think about what I really wanted to do, I wanted to do something different, maybe something my mom would understand, instead of the kinds of technology projects that were
Yeah.
under the hood that we had done so long. Each of the major macro trends we'd had invented something that we thought was impactful, built a company around it.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't easy to describe. And I have a blues bar in town with a wonderful guy who actually has been running it for 30 years, named Seven. Seven had it. I bought half, and I just love it.
Yeah.
It's
You have your own
his
music venue.
style and his passion, but my gratitude for being part of it.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there one day in late 2014, I think it was, thinking about this challenge that I just had been confronted with, having to kind of reset, and I thought I would prevail, but it was very emotionally devastating.
Yeah. Well, to even have to.
You'd even have to.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there having a beer and was thinking about blockchain. I had done a lot of complex thinking about ever since the Satoshi whitepaper came out.
Yeah.
Of where it was useful. And at the time, as far as I knew, all tokens were fungible. You know, Bitcoin, every Bitcoin's the same as every other Bitcoin.
Yep.
There were early experiments already happening that I learned later, like colored coin and some other things, where people were looking at how can you distinguish between some of these tokens.
Yeah.
And some amazing work that had been done in that area.
Yep.
But I just was thinking, why can't I make this beer tokenized? And why can't I have it in my phone and put it on the table so it would show up in augmented reality and no longer have it?
Yeah.
And why couldn't the bartender pick it up and now give me a real beer? It would become a coupon.
Yeah.
If it was unique.
Uh-huh.
So the idea was to make digital objects as unique as physical objects, and then to make them network aware so that they can change state.
Yeah.
Based on sports scores or the weather. Mm-hmm. They can be useful as tickets or patents or healthcare records.
Sure.
And so what I kind of came up with then was what became known as programmable NFTs. I think as I look back on it and learn about the history of NFTs, there was already some experiments of people saying, well, let's put some art in an NFT. I think where we ended up innovating is saying, well, what if these things were actually dynamic, living, breathing objects
Yeah.
that could become tickets that turn into Uber rides and coupons that turn into gamified experiences. They can become patents and ultimately the basis of RWAs, real world assets,
Yes.
represented by a unique token that cannot be copied, right? That
Yeah.
concept of no double spend applied to so many different areas.
Sure.
So everyone thought that this notion of a programmable, non-fungible token was too geeky a phrase. No one would use the word NFT.
Yeah.
So I called it a virtual atom. Vatom.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Vatom
now
House.
it's coming around. I love it. That's
so
cool.
that's that. And then I went to
Quite a
some
story.
friends,
Yeah.
Craig Sellers, Reeve Collins, and pitched them on the idea. They thought it was great. They were building something called Tether at the time, which became quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
as an understatement.
Yes.
They came and joined some other folks, Lucas Fleury, and actually quite a few others, Gunther Thiel, and then Alistair Ferguson and Ashish, and all these people, eventually started to join and turn what was a vision
Yeah.
and a hope and dream into reality. And some of the largest companies in the world have adopted this and incorporated it into their communications.
Totally. And I know a lot of artists who have enjoyed creating in that space and enjoying the interaction of people. And it sounds to me like you've applied some of the modeling of creating a community just with those original adopters and getting like-minded people who understand a vision to help bring it to life.
Yeah, and just to understand where that was coming from, it really was based on an earlier notion that I still believe is fundamental. It was actually the thing that I was working on that got into this controversy in the first place with the government. The idea of self-sovereign identity, that you own your own data.
Yeah.
You own, it's like you own your own body.
Uh-huh.
You should own your own data.
Yeah.
You own your own identity.
Likeness. It's a big thing in the music industry, right? Like you own your name and your likeness. The same
Exactly.
kind of idea.
And you can't own something if you aren't someone.
Yeah.
So even before the idea of a non-fungible token that could represent a ticket or represent a stock or a fractional ownership of something, somebody has to own that.
Yeah.
And that's an individual with a wallet.
Yeah.
So the idea was self-sovereign identity, a wallet, and then tokenization of everything,
Yeah.
right? And if you have those elements, the wallet will become the most powerful human communication tool since the introduction of the internet. More powerful than email, text messaging, anything
understand.
else
Yeah.
you can imagine. And that's where I think it's going. That's still the vision.
So that was where I was going to ask you about is kind of now we're all seeing these changes into AI, like figuring out how to like work with those in different industries, is like the general thing that I see from call it the layperson or whatever. It's like we're starting to see them pop up in medicine. We're seeing them pop up in music, all these different spaces. So where is that going in your opinion? Because you strike me as someone who's always seeing ahead of that curve, which is an extraordinary thing. Do you think you understand like what's coming next through AI's
I think
developments?
when we might say understand what's coming next, sure, when we look ahead 1 year,
Okay.
we used to look ahead 5 years, 10 years. No way now.
Yeah.
Now we could look ahead 1, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
It's absolutely astounding
Yeah.
how steep the exponential curves have become
Yeah.
and how impactful these converging exponential technologies are individually.
Right. Right.
3D printing, synthetic biology, robotics, AI, blockchain. As you start to add each of these things on their own curve, both from a regulation point of view, adoption point of view, and the technology advancing and getting cheaper and faster and better, any one of them would be spectacularly transformative. But they're happening at once,
Yes.
and they're combining to create outcomes that are going to change what it means to be human, how we live as a society, as communities,
Yeah.
even what the challenges are that are left to face. The challenges now are not going to be the challenges that we have in 10 years.
Okay.
We are going to have some serious challenges in the coming years
Yeah.
as we wipe out a whole segment of the economy,
Yeah.
jobs.
Workforce.
Yeah. When AI can break almost any security model.
Yeah.
Long before quantum comes.
Right.
We have AI on the horizon now that's going to just steamroll over so much of the security that's in place in banks and government.
You're a father, okay, and you also see these things coming. What are you most concerned your children need to be prepared for in that?
I'm most concerned about them and pretty much anyone, not just my kids, but waking up to the idea that the old model is really already gone. It's not that the old model is fading and things are changing, but that it's changed. It's a fool's errand to take a role and expect that career to be a reliable path for you if you do well at your job. Mm-hmm. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
There is no
you're safe
expertise
yeah.
on the side of a screen. Starting there,
yeah.
we'll move next into robotics and things that people do physically.
Okay.
But there is no role on one side of a screen that an AI agent or a swarm of agents won't do dramatically better, faster, and cheaper. Mm-hmm. And there's no way to get paid for that in that kind of world, which is not years from now, it's now. And the question is, therefore, what should you study? I don't think it's so important to go extremely deep into one thing.
Okay.
Because it's not really, really important anymore to learn how to multiply 7 digits together,
right.
In your head. A calculator's fine.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that it's okay to use your superpowers, your Iron Man suit. Yeah. But being a generalist and being able to create non-obvious correlations, biological creativity, I don't think is going to be rivaled or replaced by these AIs. Mm-hmm. I think that it'll become a complement.
Yeah.
And I also believe that the skill set that comes from gaining confidence in a room of other smart people, and the social skills that comes from pulling yourself away from TikTok and into, again, back to the physical interactions, the messiness of it, and the beauty of it, the reality of where love comes from and true connection and human thriving through building those type of connections. I don't think there's anything more important. It'll even be more important as AI comes and wipes out that segment of jobs. Who's going to orchestrate these AIs for the benefit of all of us?
Yeah.
There's going to be lots of needs for humans to do these things. Now, there's still going to be a lot of unrest as this entire segment of the economy gets eliminated.
Right.
But if you're going to come out on top on the other side of it, I think these are the things that pay to study, and of course know how to use AIs as your friend.
It's a given to me that we all need to step up our game in order to keep up with the curve. There's a certain irony in all of this, though, too, is that as technology helps us not have to do whatever we were doing before and we have to adapt in a different way, that we're coming back to what really matters and will provide us that fulfillment, that joy, is the human connection. It is the meetings in person that I think will matter more and more, and keep people out of that danger zone of not having a direction, being in that cloud of purposelessness. And I think it's really important for us all to take note of that. You work with your brother.
Yes.
And getting back to the human stuff to round us off here, I think is fascinating. Like you said earlier in the interview that there was he was waiting at the top of the stairs when you got out of the garage, and as a younger person you were mentioning him to being apart and tight with your family. Sure. So how is it maintaining a relationship with him in a working environment?
It's effortless.
Really?
Yeah. It's quite easy.
Okay.
Because I have zero need to compartmentalize in that area.
Yeah.
I have no worries whatsoever that he's acting on our collective behalf, and his goals are very pure in terms of creativity, curiosity, invention, exploration, fun.
Yeah.
All the things I respect. And I think the answer of where I am now and what we're doing is immense gratitude. First of all, I'm not CEO of anything for the first time in 35 years, and that's a blessing to everybody. not just to me.
Not to have to have
never
that. Yeah.
the right role for me.
Okay.
But I had to do it when I'm building something.
Sure.
And I'm maybe one of the few people who can articulate what I'm trying to get done, and somebody's got to be doing it. Like
Yeah.
you have to have that kind of entrepreneurial energy. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I define myself.
Yeah.
But it's not really the best role for me.
Okay.
Best role is now.
Yeah.
Is the ability to co-invent, to say, let's bring this out into the world. And now with the tools at our disposal, we can do things for a fraction of the time and money
Sure.
to bring it to life.
Yeah.
So now we can go across projects, bring capital and people and nurture those together and see it come to fruition.
Sure.
And the kind of impact we can have
Yeah.
is astounding. So now we can satisfy our curiosity of, wow, is there something that we can do with people who really understand this vertical and work with them in healthcare?
Yeah. Yeah.
And really make a difference in real estate?
Yeah.
Or can we take these technologies and our interest and passion and do something with immersive spatial experiences?
Yeah, yeah.
Super fun,
Totally.
artistic. And of course, on the larger picture, I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to work with one of my best friends, Peter Diamandis, who's brought me into some spectacular things. He's one of the greatest futurists who's ever lived.
Sure. Yeah.
And his passion to make an impact in the world has given me some flight under my wings to be able to tag along and to collaborate on certain things and hopefully be useful.
Yeah.
He brought me involved into the Future Investment Institute. We're working with the great Emad Mostaque to create the sovereign AI governance engine to
Yeah.
bring open source governance to countries. You know, whatever I can contribute there,
That's
I feel
amazing.
like, wow, what a privilege, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So hooking myself into people smarter than me, but bringing what I can bring to that, without becoming CEO, but actually being useful as a collaborator,
Yes.
is so fun.
Yeah.
And so yes, I built a lot of things, but I've never had more fun than now.
That's amazing and fantastic to hear. I love how you're reconfiguring your mind to work with the things that you're passionate about as much as learning from the experiences you've had to put yourself in the right role. I think being a collaborator is invaluable. It's a great way to be involved with more things, but also like be able to be creative and put your touch out there and be a part of a change to encourage something that you want to see happen. How important to you is it to balance the for-profit endeavors with the nonprofit endeavors? Because I think there's got to be a balance in life, but how do you negotiate between the two?
I don't. I try to take on projects that I think are sustainable.
Okay.
That aren't like a one-hit wonder where we've done a project to help a charity or a charitable organization and then that was it.
Yeah.
And it kind of spun around. It didn't find its way because
Yes.
maybe they didn't raise enough money or because it doesn't have any kind of ongoing role.
Yep.
Instead, I think the profitable organization that has its own flywheel of sustainability is the best way to have global impact. So I don't think you have to distinguish them. I think you want to find projects that at scale affect the most people positively. And I think we're doing that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like there's a lot of people who don't grasp the importance of both wings of the bird. Like you need to have both to fly.
Yeah.
And that's really special too, because there's so many things that maybe don't make sense on a business level that are important for the world. And to be able to marry the time you have to spend on whatever you're going to do, so it actually like can keep going. It's not going to just finish off after a one-hit wonder or whatever.
I think so. Just to go back to Peter again, he's the one who coined the phrase that the world's greatest business opportunities come from humanity's grandest challenges, right? And
Yeah.
so if you're going to go after something anyway,
Yeah.
that's going to that's going to take your limited time left on the planet,
Yeah.
you might as well make it something that can sustain itself, which is the definition of a good business,
Yes,
right?
it
Something
is.
that can keep growing.
Truly.
But if you can do that and then marry it with an impact that you can look back and say it affected 1 billion people's lives,
Yeah.
that's the privilege and the opportunity that we have
Yeah.
that we never had before.
Yeah.
Used to be that if you wanted to go after something, you'd need a certain amount of capital just to set up servers,
Right,
and then to
right.
put software on top, and then to host them, and then to configure it on top of that, and then on and on and on. That stack is so high now
Yeah.
that you can stand on the shoulders of giants, and for very little capital.
Yeah.
And a polymath set of geniuses that are now available to you in the
Right.
form of AI
Sure.
agentic swarms become your collaborator to make an impact at an unprecedented scale.
Yeah.
And you can afford to fail over and over until you find ways to not.
I am encouraged by the access, the ability for us as people to learn fast, to grow fast, to deploy strategies to make the world, a healthier, better place, a more
Yes.
educated place. I'm involved in an organization where we fund women in low-income countries to go to college, and to know there's so much human capital out there that's underutilized already. Whether it's women or men in other countries, there's so much learning to be done for people in our world. I'm hopeful, when I meet people like you who actually are thinking about it in a way that's not about them.
I agree. I mean, we said it ourselves at the beginning of our conversation that purpose generally comes from the joy of giving and feeling like you're adding something, beyond yourself. When you look at the job of the future, it's entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
If you look at astoundingly impactful groups like the Acumen Fund, which was founded by Jacqueline Novogratz, 25-year anniversary of actually not just putting capital into something that needs capital, but putting capital into people. It's funding entrepreneurs who create industries in their developing countries or businesses that grow, that employ people, that create new entrepreneurs.
Yes.
The force multiplier of that capital is unimaginable.
Yeah.
So supporting people like that, but also helping nurture the next generation of entrepreneurs is probably the most impact you can have.
I am encouraged by all of this, and I'm really grateful. Speaking of the joy of giving, thank you for giving me your time and giving me the space to record not only this, but with a fantastic artist.
Anytime.
Named
Happy to
Connie.
have you.
Yeah, thank you. This is great. And everybody, thank you for joining us. I wish we had more time on this one, but I encourage you to check out all of this guy's work because there's a lot out there and there's more coming. Be good to yourselves, be good to others. I'll see you next week.